It's already been a day. Okay, hi, hello, fellow writers, and welcome to the channel. I am so excited because today this showed up, but you have no idea what this is. This is the first bit of book mail that I have mailed myself in about 2 years, I think. I put together the manuscript, combining the edited work and the unedited work from Swan Song into a document, and I printed off a proof copy from KDP so that I can sit down and I can read through the entire document to figure out what I like, what I don't like, what needs to be taken out, what could be woven back in, things like that. The reason I decided to do this instead of doing like a Staples print off where they print it and they bind it for you, or printing it at home, is because this is just more economical. This was less than $9 to print it and ship it to me. And it looks so much nicer, as you'll see in a minute. I've printed these off for myself before. Some of them have been for projects that I will never publish. Some of them are for the sake of reading through to be able to get a better idea of the story, immerse myself in the world and characters and so on without actually having to sit down with a notebook and highlighters. But I've always loved doing it this way. So I'm going to open it here in front of you, and then I'm going to take you all along with me on my journey of actually reading through the manuscript for the first time ever. I have read through portions of it, but I have never sat down and read it cover to cover, and I think that it may be very telling. There are a lot of things that I want to change and to make better with this next draft as I begin to deconstruct the story and restructure it to fit a mini-series format instead of a single novel format. So a lot of different things that I'm considering, and I'm really excited to get started. But of course, really quickly, if you are new here, I'm Joanna G. Holden, and I am a self-published mommy author of Christian fantasy. Be sure to like this video if you want to see more of my content, and comment down below how you prefer to have your books put together so that you can read through them, or if you read them digitally. I know a lot of people will just put them in an ebook format and read them, but this is my personal preference. So let's open this and let's see it. I have returned with scissors. Let's see if these actually work. And yes, I'm one of those people that make weird faces when I open things. Oh my gosh. Now this is bigger, I think, probably than I will print. Well, I don't know. We'll see. That's the only thing I don't like, is that it's always a little... There are so many little things. But it's here. Oh, sorry. Here, I'll hold up so you can see it. And then the back, I literally just put down that it's a retelling. And then it's fine. Nothing exciting there. But this is 137 plus a few hundred words worth of material. So I did the 6x9 and something else size. And I did the cream pages because I just love them. I think they're just so much nicer. And yeah, the only thing I don't like about this is that watermark, but it doesn't bother me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is like a third of the way through. Yeah, so I'm about a third of the way through the rewrite. That's actually kind of exciting. So right about, let me see. Yeah, this right about here is where I finished rewriting, doing the actual, the sitting down and rewriting. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so inside I did very simple, the 1 page and the 2 page, specifying the drafts. And then I put a little copyright notice in the bottom just because. Oh yes, the prologues. So I have to figure out what to do with my prologues. I have 2 of them. Now that I'm not doing this single novel, I'm not sure. But I found that without them, the villain doesn't make as much sense, and we're very confused. After reading the prologue, my kind of sort of beta readers, not beta readers, my critique partners, understood a lot more about what was happening. And if I didn't have the prologues at the beginning, I have to do a lot of explaining in chapter 1. So, and then yes, I did put a big Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4 pages to help me to see. Yeah, I'm just so excited. So I am going to sit down and read this, but not yet, because I actually have, I decided to use this as a means of bribing myself to clean. I have some cleaning projects that I've been avoiding, and I'm using this as bribery to actually get to them. So as soon as I'm done with the first cleaning project, I get to sit down and try to read. The purpose of this is to read straight through, to try and get as immersed as a reader into the world and the characters and into the story, so I can see what's working, what's not working. And then, let's see if I can actually find anything. My desk is a mess. Like, it looks clean, but it's actually a mess. Where's my notebook? So I am going to use this. There's only like a few pages of this left. But that one's torn. Mine's not torn, but yeah, I have like a handful of pages left. Oh dear, I have like 2 pages left. 3. I have 3. Okay, maybe I won't be using this notebook. I will be using a notebook to go through and make notes as I read. I'm gonna go do my cleaning and stuff off camera, and probably at that point the baby will have woken up anyway. And then we will sit down and cozy up with this, and I will let you guys know as I'm going how it goes, and you'll be able to kind of see some of the inside a little bit. And then at the end of however many days it takes, hopefully 3 to 4, probably by the end of the week, I will catch up with you guys in one big outro and tell you how the process went and what I enjoyed the most.
Hello.
Okay, I'm literally 2 pages in, and I have already come across something that I think I need to jot down for the entire series. So I started, I don't know if I can kind of show you. So this is a new section in my notebook right here. And yes, saw Dark Mages is in there, so fun times. But I realized I have several things. I really want to work hard to make this series interwoven more than it is. So when I first started writing it, it was literally just 4 fairy tales set in these 4 different kingdoms, and there really wasn't a whole lot that tied them together. But I don't want to do it that. I want to do it a little differently. So I'm going to add in some additional things. Not add in, but like find things that are already there. So there are already things in the story and in the other stories as well that I think will work very well to like weave through each other. So I'm gonna make notes of those too. I have a list of that. But yeah, getting back to reading.
Hey, Mom, the towel cupboard. Sorry. Look, Kim, this is your new box.
Good morning. It is Thursday now. So I have been reading, but I have not been able to video an update. So as I was concerned would happen, but I am making notes. This is from Act 1. So Tuesday I read through the prologues and the first handful of chapters. And as you saw, I was already getting ideas for things that I could weave into the whole series to make it more tied together. And then Wednesday, which was last night, I ended up finishing all of Act 1, read through, made a bunch of notes. And today I'm going to be moving on to Act 2, which is the second quarter of the book, and is consequently also the longest quarter of the book. So I don't know if I'm going to be finishing it today or tomorrow. We'll have to see. But the number one thing that I have figured out about Act 1, so far at least, is that it's so rushed. Like, I have a ton of words. I mean, we talked about it's 137,000 words, but none of the words that I read felt wasted. Like, there wasn't a ton of excess narrative. It was just, there was so much happening. And I know I can see places where I've taken stuff out and it kind of needed it. So now nothing really makes sense. Reading it, like doing it one chapter at a time, was kind of like, oh, this works. But then sitting down and reading straight through it, it's like, no, it does not work. One thing I am becoming more aware of as I'm writing, which doesn't necessarily have to do with pacing or plotting, just narrative choice, is the way that I structure my chapters and the way that I have structured these particular scenes. And I don't know, you got it? Yeah. I don't know if I've done this in other books as well, but I had 3 chapters in a row where the chapter opened where a character that was not the princess walked into the princess's room and saw that she was distraught and said, "What happened?" or something similar. And then she goes into this narrative, and then each chapter ended with like this narrative internal resolve. The one chapter ended on a cliffhanger, so that did break it up a little bit. But I can see where just the fact that I've only been working at it like one chapter at a time, and I've been so focused on figuring out what happens that the narrative part of it hasn't come into play yet. Like if it was an actual edit, I would already be like going through with the highlighter and picking out all of like the little places where that was the case. But I'm not there yet. So the fact that it is so rushed, back to the actual point of this segment of video. Sorry, that was a sidetrack. The fact that it was so rushed just confirms for me that breaking it up into a miniseries is 100% the way to go. I have already gotten so many ideas. Like most of this hasn't been things that I need to take out, because what is there to take out? I mean, there's hardly enough material there as it is because I had to take so much out already. But it's like, what if, and then adding in some additional conflict, or what if and raising a stake, or also if they've done da-da-da-da, then how about these things as well that need to be considered? And then what if we had these scenes in there that would help to flesh out what's happening? So I'm not looking over these. I'm not sure that I'm really adding anything new as far as plot points. But everything on that list is like taking the things that are already there and expanding on them, either adding back in ideas that I had removed for sake of word count, or new things that I never really got a chance to explore either way. So it's going to be interesting. I do have the final note that I have is cut 25% of the internal monologuing and have more actually happen. I do have a tendency to have my main character think through things a lot, which comes in handy later on in the story when, as with the fairy tales, she has to, make the vow of silence and she can't verbally talk to people for a while. And so you're getting her internal thoughts, but she doesn't need to do that when she can actually like say stuff and she's around people with whom it would be safe for her to speak. And honestly, like most of it it can be just cut out completely and it doesn't change anything. So I'm going to do that. Hi, I have a very happy baby. The girls are at VBS. My little boy is at grandma's this morning. Last minute is headed over there. So we're going to go for a walk. Yeah. We're going to go for a walk and enjoy the nice, relatively cool air. It's been so cloudy and rainy, which has been nice for that. And then mommy's going to come in and get myself settled down, get her down for a nap, and start reading. Let's go. It is Saturday now. I have been doing such a terrible job of actually filming me reading. I'm so sorry. But I have been reading and I've been loving it. I've definitely been experiencing some, I don't know if it would be called imposter syndrome, but that feeling when you read back over your work and you just feel like it should be so much better and you feel like suddenly you're the worst author ever. It's just mostly, honestly, it has not been the first draft material that I've read, because first draft material I kind of expect to be terrible. It's that second draft that I worked so hard on chapter by chapter and just realizing that it's still not perfect. How dare it? So I'm having to kind of monitor my own expectations with that. But I am very, very happy with the story itself. And I've been getting so many ideas. Sorry, my notepad here. So many ideas for this Act 2. And yes, I'm still in Act 2. The second quarter, I'm like this far through right now. I was supposed to read last night, and this week has been so chaotic with Vacation Bible School and with me trying to read this and trying to do other things. And I was trying to do some cleaning and it has felt very, very chaotic. And while I need flexibility in my schedule, I cannot function in complete chaos. When there's a million things that I actually do need to do, but then I feel like there is no physical way for me to be able to do them because everything is just all over the place. It's very frustrating. But I am sitting down now to finally finish this first half of the book, please, I hope. And hopefully this afternoon I'll have a lot of time to read because we're going to be driving to Costco, which is like 45 minutes to an hour away. Doing a lot of driving. I'm going to take it with me and just read with me the whole way. So I won't be able to film that. But I will definitely check up with you either at the end of the day or sometime tomorrow to let you know what my thoughts are. And I still have hope that somehow maybe I can finish reading this book by tomorrow night. I really, really want to. And now that I've gotten into the part where like I haven't already been reading through it because like for rewrites and stuff, I'm getting to the part where I can just read it as is without thinking about all the times that I've already spent fixing it. I just read where we meet the love interest, and oh my heart, I forgot how much I was in love with how they meet. Am I allowed to ship my own characters this hard? Am I allowed to be this in love and fangirl this hard over my own stories? I think the answer is yes, but oh my gosh. It hit, even in terrible first draft condition, it hit all the right feels. It gives me hope that maybe this is not a terrible book after all. So me and the Beanie are going to sit here and read, and then we're going to head out to Costco together and read, and we're going to get home and read, and it's just going to be a fun reading day. So here we go. If my readers could find as much thrill in this romance as I am finding in it as the writer, I will be very happy. Okay, everybody, it is now Sunday, and I'm speaking very quietly because the baby is asleep. It's my last day to read before the official end of like the time that I had set myself, and I'm still not up to the halfway point. I'm kind of frustrated at myself, but I know that yesterday was a busy day, and I was very exhausted last night, so I'm trying not to condemn myself for it. But I do have a lot of time today to read. So I'm going to pull out the book and just chill. If I can't get it all done today, I'm not going to sweat it. I'm just going to finish it tomorrow. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can get most of it done today. So wish me luck. Okay, I did it. It is now Monday, but I did it. I finished the book. I read through the whole thing, and for the most part, I did take notes. And now I'm going to talk about it. And I apologize for like my appearance. I'm a little frazzled, but I don't really have time to fix up into anything nicer because I really want to talk about this while it's still fresh in my mind. And I'm sorry, but as I mentioned in another video, this is what I look like most of the time as a writer. And yeah, I have things to do today and tonight because I'm also a busy mama. So here's a shout out to all of us being messy writers. It's okay. We talked about Act 1. Did we talk about Act 2? I'm pretty sure we talked about Act 2. We may not have talked about all of it. The second quarter of the book, which was the longest quarter, it was the longest segment of the book. I wrote the most notes about this one. I had the most ideas. There was so much in that section that I was like, ooh, if we just redid some of this stuff, like it could be really awesome. Act 3 only had half a page of notes, and then I didn't even bother writing anything down. For Act 4, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to reread the second half of the book again, and I really need to figure out what to do. So Act 1, it was like a lot happened, right? You have bam, 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 just thing after thing after thing after thing, just hitting our main character, not a whole lot of answers and like tons of questions. So she gets out of the situation, and hopefully that's where she's going to find the answers. That second quarter where all the notes were was where all the hints were being dropped that the answers were coming. And I was, as an author, it was very rough draft. Like I could tell, and I may have already mentioned this, but I could really tell the difference between the plotting in the first quarter and then the plotting in the rest of the book, where there was plotting there, but it was very rough draft, as opposed to, like in my brain, a first draft is when the story makes sense, just the narrative needs to be fixed a little bit. And a rough draft is more where you're literally just figuring out the story as you go. And that's exactly what the second, like, well, really 3/4 of the book was me having all these ideas for stuff, but then not really having the time to explore them. So just writing out events as they happened and figuring that future me would figure it out, which is now time for future me to do that. But I did notice, okay, so you guys saw my reaction to Eliza, the main character, meeting the main love interest, and like how into the scene I was. That was the last scene that I really felt for the characters as a reader, other than I can think of like one or maybe two other times where I had the same reaction. And there were a lot of scenes that I could tell from my writing where I was supposed to feel like that, but I just didn't. And I think a lot of that had to do with buildup. And I may have already talked about this, so if I have, future me is going to edit it out. But there's a moment, this very personal and very intimate moment about the halfway point where Eliza is required to trust the king for the first time and actually allows herself to be vulnerable and to share things with him that she can't share with anyone else in an effort to save her own life. But he makes a couple of it's almost like a grand gesture on his part to help her to get to that point. And it's supposed to be this beautiful moment of both of them kind of bearing their souls with each other from having both had pretty traumatic backgrounds. And it wasn't that at all. It did not read like that at all. And I think honestly, a lot of what it may have been was that at that point, I was just getting through the book. I was just writing down chapters as I came up to them. And there were a handful of scenes like I got really into, like about I'm not even sure, but the last act had a lot of those moments. Like I could tell I was emotionally invested as the writer, like I was in it. And then it kind of, the last couple of chapters kind of fell back to that. But I think it was that I had all of these ideas for what I wanted, and I could tell that there was story there and I hadn't hit it yet. Like I was drilling for story and I hadn't hit the oil yet. So, or the gold or whatever metaphor we want to use. It was like I was surface leveling so much of the story. So when I did hit gold or strike oil or whatever we want to say, it was a wonderful moment, but then I didn't really have as many of them as I'd hoped. Second thing that I noticed, there was a scene that I wrote in the third quarter of the book that I literally stopped writing about 3/4 of the way through the scene because I realized I am bored out of my mind writing this. The audience is going to be able to tell. They're going to be bored out of their minds. I need to completely change this. So I left it in because, which I'm very grateful for, I left it in because I didn't want to take the time to try and figure out something different to do. So I just wrote in the notes that something different was going to happen and then kept going with the narrative. But reading back through, I was actually enjoying the king's perspective so much that when I got to that scene as a reader, I was excited to read it. And I was kind of disappointed that I didn't follow through and finish writing that scene. And then when I would get to Eliza's scenes, I would find myself that with 50% of the time, really not caring that much, like having to kind of push through a little bit of boredom, which was very eye-opening because she's the main character. And his story just never felt boring to me like hers did. So I need to do some soul searching here and figure out, I know that part of it is that her stakes don't feel very palpable and her character arc kind of stalls at about the halfway point. She reaches, and it's not supposed to, like I had written in plot points that were supposed to move her character arc forward, but for whatever reason, as I was writing it, I didn't dig deep. I didn't go to the places where I needed to go until it was that last section of the book. And that's the part where like there were emotions there. And I think with Althalas being a male perspective, I was trying so hard to make sure that it was authentic and that it was true, that I was thinking through what he would be going through as a man, well, a young man, boy almost, but still, and just really thinking through all of his transformation into this new character. And with Eliza, I kind of let it cruise a little bit because I wasn't as worried about it. And I think that was a mistake. I think that I really should have been, no, I did not want you to make any changes on my computer. I hate those. I didn't dig deep, and I should have. So it's not that I'm blaming myself at all. And this is where I need to kind of throw out there. It's honestly been a bit of a struggle for me the last month or two with reading through my work. We all get cringy when we read through our work, am I right? But also simultaneously having the earlier chapters of the book critiqued by the critique group, and realizing, even as I'm sending these chapters out, that they're rushed, that the plotting doesn't work, that it's just not what I want it to be. I had planned on letting them read through the end of Act 1 because they were all really interested to see, they wanted to see what happened. They got invested and now they really want to see what happened. And I don't know that I'm going to keep sending in chapters because I need to change it. It needs to completely change. And there's just been a part of me that has honestly been kind of doubting myself as a writer. I may have mentioned this earlier. Again, future Joanna will edit it out if I have. But just reading through material that is not what I want it to be. And getting through the plot and realizing just how much more work is ahead of me. I suddenly feel very tired. Like there was a thrill to reading the material. There was a thrill to holding it in my hands and being able to hold it up to the camera and and being able to turn through the pages and read the story. And I'm so glad that I did this. But there's just this knowledge, this understanding going forward that I am nowhere near where I thought I was with this book. I thought I was so much closer to being done, and I am nowhere near being done. And even like if I wasn't trying to restructure it for the miniseries, which I'm very grateful that I am, but even if I wasn't doing that, I would need a complete rewrite of this book, and I would have had to push pause where I was in Act 1 and reconfigure things because it wasn't working. I would have had to figure out a way to give myself more room here, or scrunch things up there so I could rearrange and figure out how to make the stuff that's in here that are good ideas actually show up on the page. Like I was mentioning with Eliza's character development, the material for the development is there, but it just stalls out and we just keep seeing these repeats of scenes. And then for the king, I thought that the scenes were being repeated and that it was going to feel redundant, but I must not have been doing as much as I thought because the repetitiveness only lasted for like a handful of scenes and then it was just gone and everything was really interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is take a break for now. Honestly, I have to. I have other things I have to do. This week I have to actually read through submissions to the critique group, the said critique group, and make notes and stuff and do the critiques for that. I also desperately need to sit down and figure out school plans for the summer. We're going to be doing school, in July and August. So I need to kind of sit down and figure out what I'm doing and how I want to move forward with school over the fall. And starting in next week. Yeah, next week. So next week is the first week of July, I officially get access to the course and can start the plotting. I want to go back through it again and I want to read through it again. And this time I'm going to be taking highlighters and sticky notes. I'm going to get smaller ones, but sticky notes and highlighters. And I'm going to, and index cards. I bought this wonderful thing of index cards and I want to use them. And I'm going to go through this book and I'm going to just highlight sentiments. There was there was a sentence toward the end, like one of the last chapters, there was a single sentence that someone said and I realized, that's actually a plot point that never got explored. So to be able to highlight that and put a sticky note in it and, have it color coordinated so I can look at the book and I can go through and I can figure things out. And I can't remember if I said it in a video to you guys, so I'm going to repeat it. But I don't want to be moving files around in my computer. In fact, I may keep the document that I use to print this, upload it on the cloud and then just delete everything else because I have a hard copy now. I don't need everything else. I can free up computer space and actually sit down and type out brand new any words that are going into the book. I think that would save me heaps of trouble, but also that it's going to give me this wonderful fresh start for the book. I'm not going to be just copying and pasting old words and trying to fix them. I get to start fresh. And I feel like that's what this book needs. The story is so good and there's so much there. And yes, absolutely that frustration of I felt like I was getting close to being done. And now I'm realizing, holy crap, how much work it would have been anyways. And now even more so. But I feel more hopeful because I feel like I have so much more room to work. And I'm so excited. Very tired, but very excited. Something else that I know that I want to do is look back through the notes that I have from my critique group. They have given some amazing pointers as readers who don't know the story on things that they were looking forward to seeing. I had several things that I had not seen as potential red herrings that they kept asking questions about, like, is this character a bad guy? Is this plot going this way? Their reactions to certain things happening when they happen. So I'm going to also go back through and look at those notes. And, I have a little journal full of them and just sit down and figure out, okay, what do the readers, because it's 5 readers. I have 5 readers in the critique group that have looked at my story so far, and to be able to get 5 different perspectives on the book is huge. So looking through all this material is going to be probably the first thing that I do. And then picking this back up, reading through it again, and making notes as I go, and highlighting things and figuring out the overall story. And then using the course material, I'm going to make a strategy for breaking the book up. As I mentioned earlier, I really want to be able to make this 6 episodes. There is definitely enough material, especially in the second half of the book, to be able to really stretch it out and make stuff. Like, there were scenes in there where I was like, oh, I love this scene. I love what's happening. I love like the event in the story. I love the characters that we're pursuing, and I love these interactions. I want more of this. As a reader, I want more of this. And then a ton of scenes where I was like, okay, I've read this. We've already done this. You're just repeating yourself again. We need to move on. So harnessing in, listing out the things that I was like, yes, I want more of this. And then listing out the things that were not as interesting that I need in the story, figuring out ways to make them more interesting or combine them with other scenes that I liked, if that makes sense. And figuring out how to make those romantic moments work. I was so disappointed. I read through and I didn't get any fluttery feelings, and just, oh, that was so disappointing. I love a good romance. Almost every single story that I have ever written has had some kind of romantic subplot. And I love it done well, and I didn't get any fluttery feelings, and it was very sad. Other than that one moment. That one moment was gorgeous. And there was like one other moment where I was just like, oh, and then everything else was just kind of like, meh. So yes, absolutely I am fixing things. I feel like this vlog has been such a mess, but this is kind of where I'm at right now because the material is such a mess, and I am looking at completely redoing my process. Like, I have made full-on vlogs about my process, and that is another thing that I realized. Speaking of messy, I feel like this was the step that I completely missed. After finishing the book, New Year's Eve, I took a break because I was tired, and then I went immediately into delving into chapter-by-chapter rewrites of the first act, and just kept going because I was making progress, and it was fun. And I think I kind of destroyed it. I think I kind of messed it up. I'm actually going to go back and print out the original Act 1 before I chopped it up and started rewriting it, just so I can remember some of the things that happened and see if there's ways that I can use some of that to really flesh out Act 1, which is now going to be hopefully episode 1. So yes, I am a mess. My process is a mess. My hair is a mess. I have to go get ready to go somewhere and cook dinner. So, oh my gosh, you guys, we all do this, right? We're writers, but most of us cannot just sit back and cozy up and write our books all day. Most of us have other obligations, whether it's kids, a 9-to-5 job, you're working from home, it doesn't matter. Taking care of a relative or going through school. One of the ladies in the critique group is going through writing her master's thesis right now, and it's really taking up time from her. And all of us, we were so messy, and it's hard to balance the need to show the mess that writing and is, with the prettier inspirational side that I like to see in vlogs more. That helps me to feel like I can keep moving forward. So I hope that this video was in any way enjoyable, entertaining, inspiring, motivational. If it was, please comment down below that it was, because I feel like such a mess right now, and I'm not sure if this was just too messy of a vlog, and I need to not make vlogs this messy anymore. But thank you so much for watching, and do be sure to click the like and subscribe on the way out if you have not already, so that you can, click the notification bell so that you can be updated as soon as there's a new video. I'm not sure what the month of July holds, but I have high hopes that it is going to have a lot of great content as I untangle this mess. So I love you all so much. Keep writing. We've got this, guys. We have got this. These books, they will get written. I will talk to you guys in another video. Bye.